spent roughly an hour or so working on the Lovely Day for a Guinness text. I believe it was around the noon to afternoon period, early afternoon period, that I worked on this text. And I did the pint sans this foam part, which I did just now, right before I started filming. Right before I did the text. The reason why I didn't do the feet yet is because it's kind of ambiguous to me. I think the Guinness bird is based off a toucan, which has orange/peaches, peachy colored feet. Yeah, but it seems vintage Guinness media ads depict the toucan's feet as being a sort of blue-greenish color, so I'm sort of leaning towards trying to follow the color that the print media gives me. It's got to be some kind of shade of green. The pizza and wings I had in the afternoon, roughly, I cooked them in the oven for roughly 15 minutes. I've gotten to the point where I can produce some wood ghosts. I've been trying to complete these task sets as quickly as possible for the time being. I went with this coin rain instead of these time boosters because the coin rain gave me the 5 vision vapor I needed for this task set. These are the story quest lines. The story quest lines so far. That seems to be a bit of a glitch. I think it's supposed to say just knowledge points. Fortunately, a tournament is currently ongoing, so it's relatively easy to get knowledge points without buying them. The only time you should ever buy knowledge points is if it's part of a task set for these events. Perfect. It always pays to try and keep the barracks at the highest possible level that you can. My maximum training size went down a bit because I sold one of my level 8 armories to replace it with this building that provides culture, population, and mana. It said Reverend Frogs. Actually, wait. I don't even have... Oh, wait, it's this building that produces fervent frogs. I recall spending the morning and afternoon hours working on making edits to recent custom props I made in Lunapic. So that the scene would stay as consistent as possible when Michael kicks in the shop window to set off the alarm and get help for Kyle, the Uber driver. Getting those 12 knowledge points will be pretty expensive. I'm currently catering for tournament encounters. For that, I made a new custom prop today that isolated the window and then I added progressively less blue color adjustments in order to correct the counter to account for the discolorization that I now know is caused by the snipping tool. And what I mean by that is I first added 20 blue to the sole window custom prop. Determined it was too much based off what I saw when previewing the new drafts of that scene. So it would then undo the color adjustment in Lunapic and then add a smaller amount of blue. The first time I did this, it was just 10 blue instead of 20. And then when that was still too much, I added just 5. But now at times I have feelings that maybe there's a need to change up the contrast or something along those lines. I spent the time of 3 to 5 p.m. roughly speaking watching a 4K gameplay long play video of the SpongeBob Employee of the Year game. which was among one of the first video games to be made for the SpongeBob SquarePants franchise, as it was made in the early 2000s, when SpongeBob SquarePants came out in 1999, the TV show itself. Well, that was the year the first episodes were aired, and I recall the first few episodes were aired during the last few months of 1999. The fact that sometimes for catering tournament encounters, it sometimes will cost you some orcs makes me feel like I need to take the armory I have left and turn it in, level it up enough for it to become a breeding grounds for orcs in order to increase my production of orcs within my city in Elvenar. I have so many combining catalysts that for the time being, I can disenchant them in order to gain the spell fragments I need in order to complete task sets. More quickly, such as this one. Now, this next task set requires giving some neighborly help, which is something I do quite regularly within the game. Since doing that can only benefit you. However, on this screen where I can do it without going into the world map, there are only two other players were available for neighborly help, so I'm currently on the world map in order to give the remaining neighborly help I'll need in order to complete the current task set ahead of me. I played some Bloons Tower Defense 6 today. I believe today's sessions and primarily involved a 6 p.m. session in which I attempted to beat a chimps mode game on the intermediate haunted map. And I managed to get most of the way there. Actually, wait, no, it wasn't the it was an intermediate map, but it was a different one. It was the intermediate Spice Islands map. Which is a map that is mostly water, with an archipelago of islands serving as the only land within the game. And all I have left to do is to buy some knowledge points. I feel that the best way to do this is to do so by trading in steel, since I still have plenty of that. Nearly 1,000,000. I believe it's nearly 900,000. Since I have one of the highest level steel manufactories I can have, given the research that I have to date activated. Yeah, this is why I like saving up time boosters. And today's daily exclusive isn't a building, so I'm not particularly interested in it. Although this is a pretty good Arizona drink. It's currently around 10 p.m. I worked on drawing in the neck of the pint that I showed earlier. I did this work right before the seconds came. I had the first around 7 p.m. I got this Wegman Zero Vitamin Infused Water sometime between the early afternoon and the early evening. Though I'm thinking it was more likely to have been during the early afternoon, most likely around 3 p.m. At one point, I believe I got a rune shard for the Shrine of the Shroomy Shrooms from, I believe, completing a catering to a tournament encounter, most likely. And luckily it filled this rune shard when only 4 were empty. And then at the time I had 9 broken shards, so even if it had failed, I would have been able to fill at least 1 rune shard regardless, but I'm glad it didn't fail, because then I later got a broken shard and had enough to forge most likely this rune shard space. So now I'm pretty close to being able to build the Shrine of the Shroomy Shrooms, which will more than make up for the max trading size I lost from selling one of my level 8 armories. The other one being here, though I intend to at some point turn it into an army of this level. Again, to increase my production of orcs. These Singapore noodles seem to have a tendency to kind of stick together. And they're still pretty good, though. Shortly after the first serving, Dad gave me these candies because someone gave him some gifts. I assume at some time today, because we're currently in the holiday season. I was very thankful for these delicious treats. And I'm glad someone did something so nice for my dad. And this is where I'm at currently in regards to my task sets. I'm currently in the process of producing the warrior mass and or decorative pillars that'll be mandatory for me to complete this latest task set. Looks like the 40th one so far. I ended up clearing out practically this entire board, even though the daily exclusive wasn't a unique building, because at the time I was hoping to get relics in order to complete an earlier task set, but that didn't happen. But this ended up happening, which contributed greatly towards getting access to some prizes. I believe that's my first... what is it called again? Yeah, it's my first sorcery. I ended up completing that relics task. Could be part of either this task set, now that I think about it again, or part of an earlier task set. By completing tournament encounters. Despite it being a magic dust tournament, it offers relics. It offers relics from all of the standard goods, whether that be basic, refined, or magical. Though I think all that catering I did for tournament encounters may have done a number on my standard goods.